Welcome to this Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a story that honestly sounds like it was ripped right out of a big-budget, modern sci-fi blockbuster. But surprisingly, it's actually from an ancient text. We're talking about a spectacular, totally out-of-this-world battle between a single mortal warrior and a massive, heavily armed, flying city. Yeah, you heard that right, a literal flying city. It's got advanced weaponry, intense aerial dogfights, and some seriously ancient cosmic loopholes.
So the big question driving our explainer today is this. How exactly does one mortal warrior take down a flying fortress that even the gods themselves are completely powerless against? To figure that out, we're going to follow the journey of Arjuna. He's a legendary hero from the ancient Indian epic, the Mahabharata, and we're dropping in right as he faces a seemingly impossible obstacle, one that's literally going to determine the fate of his entire kingdom. Our source text opens with an absolutely stunning visual. Picture this. Arjuna is heading home from a journey when he spots this majestic, UFO-like aerial city called Hiranyapura. The text describes it beautifully, saying it's a mighty, unearthly city moving at will, with the effulgence of fire or the sun, and covered with trees made of all kinds of gems. It has these towering gateways and is populated by Asuras, specifically the Pulamas and Kalakanjas. And these guys are heavily armed, cheerful warriors wielding swords, maces, and clubs. It's basically an impregnable floating fortress of breathtaking beauty, but with terrifying military might.
Seeing this floating marvel, Arjuna is understandably amazed and asks his charioteer, Matali, what in the world they're looking at. Matali gives him the backstory, and it turns out this city wasn't just built, it was magically granted. Two Asura women, Pulama and Kalaka, performed a staggering 1,000 celestial years of severe austerities. Because of that immense dedication, Brahma granted them a boon. They were promised their offspring would never suffer misfortune, they'd be invincible, and they were gifted this flawless, disease-free aerial city of Hiranyapura.
Now, here is where things get really interesting. There's a classic, tragic loophole in their cosmic wish. When Pulama and Kalaka asked for invincibility, they were super specific. They asked that their offspring be completely incapable of being destroyed by gods, Rakshasas, Gandharvas, and all other immortal beings. But they made one massive, fatal omission. They completely forgot to ask for protection against just regular, ordinary mortals.
And that oversight? That is exactly the mortal loophole that makes Arjuna the absolute perfect man for the job. He is uniquely positioned in the entire universe to take down this unearthly threat. Even Brahma himself had destined their destruction at the hands of mortals. So, upon learning that they were invincible to literally everyone else but him, Arjuna cheerfully tells his charioteer to hit the gas and speed toward the city, declaring that no wicked hater of the gods should be spared by him.
Which brings us to part 1, the illusionary war. Confident in his destiny and that mortal loophole, Arjuna launches his attack. But as you'll see, the Asuras definitely aren't just going to roll over and let him win.
As Arjuna closes in, the Danavas rush out at him in their gleaming armor. They unleash a furious opening barrage, just a massive volley of arrows, two-edged swords, clubs, and weapons called tomaras. But Arjuna is ready. Relying on his deep knowledge and incredible strength, he expertly counters this overwhelming attack. He maneuvers his chariot around and unleashes a bewildering shower of shafts. He actually confounds the enemies so badly that they start pushing each other down in total confusion, and he begins severing their heads by the hundreds with flaming arrows.
Realizing pretty quickly that they're totally outmatched in a straightforward firefight, the Asuras retreat back into Hiranyapura. They activate the city's evasive maneuvers, using these wild illusions. The massive city suddenly soars high into the sky to dodge his arrows. Then incredibly, it dives straight down and enters the earth. It moves in this crooked, unpredictable path, and at times it even submerges entirely underwater. It's basically an ancient description of highly advanced, multi-domain evasive tactics. It's wild. But Arjuna, he is absolutely relentless. He just batters the flying city with straight coursing iron shafts that hit with the speed of thunder. Finally, the magnificent city is broken and crashes down to the earth. But the battle is far from over. The moment the city falls, Arjuna's charioteer lands their vehicle, and Arjuna is immediately swarmed by a staggering 60,000 enemy chariots, all packed with furious warriors eager to take him down.
Arjuna manages to destroy a ton of them with sharpened shafts, but the enemy adapts. They start opposing his unearthly weapons with their own. He's facing hundreds of thousands of mighty demons in variegated mail, executing complex maneuvers. And for the very first time, Arjuna is really stymied. His arrows just aren't cutting it, and they start to aggressively press him. Exhausted, heavily outnumbered, and taking hits from highly skilled fighters, our hero has this moment of pure vulnerability. He actually admits in the text, "A terrible fear seized me." This leads us right into part 2, unleashing the Raudra weapon. Outnumbered, desperate, and feeling the very real limits of his mortal strength, Arjuna realizes conventional warfare just isn't going to cut it anymore. He has to call upon an ultimate power to turn the tide. Collecting his energies, Arjuna bows down to the god of gods and fixes a specific, terrifying weapon to his bow, the Gandiva. It's called the Raudra weapon. This is an unearthly armament of absolute, ultimate destruction, granted by the three-eyed god Sarva. Before firing it, Arjuna invokes Sarva, saying, "May welfare attend on all beings," which is, honestly, a chillingly serene blessing right before unleashing total mass devastation.
The text then gives us this vivid, almost hallucinatory description of the entity that actually manifests when the Raudra weapon is readied. Picture this. It has 3 heads and 9 eyes. It has 6 arms. Its hair is flaming like fire or the sun. And its outfit? It's literally draped in mighty serpents that are actively flicking their tongues. It is a manifestation of pure primordial terror standing right there beside Arjuna on the battlefield.
Then, Arjuna lets the weapon fly. But it doesn't just explode like a bomb. Oh no, it spawns a bizarre, overwhelming swarm of reality-bending destruction. The universe suddenly fills with thousands of forms: lions, tigers, bears, buffaloes, and even mountains and seas. And it gets weirder. There are elephant-mouthed sharks, giant owls, specters, and grotesque beings with 3 heads, 4 tusks, and 4 mouths. The Danavas are just completely overrun by these terrifying beings covered in flesh, fat, and bone. It is the absolute chaotic annihilation of the enemy army.
Which brings us to part 3, victory and prophecy. In mere moments, backed by swarms of flaming arrows hitting with the force of thunderbolts, the seemingly invincible army is slaughtered, bringing a sudden, eerie calm to the battlefield.
The once beautiful, gem-studded flying city is reduced to utter ruin. The text leaves us with this haunting image, noting that the city vanished like a cloud-constructed city. The surviving Danava wives come out, hair disheveled, their garlands and ornaments fallen off, bitterly mourning the immense loss of their families. The magnificent city is left completely bereft of grace.
Returning victorious, Matali takes a delighted Arjuna back to the celestial gods. When the thousand-eyed god Indra hears how Arjuna neutralized the illusions and destroyed Hiranyapura, he is absolutely thrilled. He tells Arjuna that he's achieved a feat even the gods couldn't pull off. By slaying Indra's mighty enemies, it's declared that Arjuna has officially paid his preceptor's fee, proving his ultimate worth as a student of the divine.
Now, you might be wondering, why does this ancient sci-fi-esque battle matter to us as viewers of this explainer today? Well, beyond the mind-blowing visuals of UFO cities and multi-headed serpent entities, Indra's final words to Arjuna reveal the true purpose of this entire conflict.
It brilliantly illustrates the core message of the story. Indra tells Arjuna that by conquering this invincible threat, he's actually paving the way for his brother, Yudhishthira, to eventually rule the earth. This whole battle wasn't just about showing off crazy weapons. It's about the timeless themes of fulfilling your duty and destiny against completely impossible odds. Arjuna stepped up when literally no one else in the universe could.
And that leaves us with our final thought for this explainer. The story of Hiranyapura makes us question the very nature of invincibility itself. What invincible obstacles in our own modern world, whether they're societal, scientific, or personal, are just sitting there waiting for the right loophole to be discovered? Sometimes, the thing that makes a problem seem unbeatable is just a blind spot waiting for the right person to look at it from a different angle. Thanks for joining me today, and keep looking for those loopholes.